Hey everybody, it's Ron Capps. There's a lot of really good questions I've always wanted to ask other drivers, even drivers I competed with and against. This is a perfect opportunity for me to play reporter and just have some fun, ask some questions that maybe they don't ask on a TV show. So what better place than here on Comp Plus to have a little fun with some other drivers. Are you officially a funny car guy? Do you still get a little jealous, like Landon going back? Are you going to make any laps once in a while in dragster? Do you feel the urge, or are you a funny car guy now?
Yeah, I want to know from you, am I a funny car guy? Have I been accepted?
Well, you know me, you had other drivers questioning that first year.
Right.
Some were in my camp, but what did I always tell you when that was going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a funny car guy. People think that I got thrown into this by, not by choice. I wanted to drive this car. And do I miss Top Fuel? Yes and no. Would I give this up to go drive a dragster? No. But Chad did talk to me in Las Vegas testing, said, hey, like, I wanted you to make a lap in a dragster. I haven't made a lap since 2016. So just to do it, in case Dougie or Sean can't test, I can get in there and make some laps on one of their cars. But at the end of the day, like, this is what I want to drive. Like, these things are the coolest cars out here. You know that.
Yeah. Years ago, what a lot of people don't know is obviously JR was hoping for the chance like I got as a crew guy to get in a car. You're waiting for somebody to give you the shot at getting your license or making a lap, right?
Right.
So we worked on Bob Gilbertson's car. I'll never forget, we tested one day in Gainesville on a Monday. I drove my car for Ace, I drove Bazemar's car for Lee Beard, and I drove Selzy's car with Zippy tuning. It was the best day of my life.
That's
bouncing,
awesome.
right?
Right.
And you drove Gilbertson's. I'll never forget this. And they wanted to put pillows. How can we help you? Because Gilbertson's 250 plus.
Yeah.
You're not. And I will never forget looking in there, and you're in there like you're this little kid, and you said, just get out of the way, buckle me in, and let me go. And he drove this thing, couldn't even see over the dash, and he stepped on the gas. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I remember coming to you for advice. You're like, hey, man, like, Snake told me, like, don't drive this thing like a drag. You got to jab it. Like, you're right. Like, you get in the gas, like, you think it's going to move one way, jab it back the other way. And, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, Eric Madlin, like, he was always in my corner, like, hey, man, like, one day you need to drive a funny car. So when I got the opportunity to do that, like, he was a crew guy just like me, got to get in Force's car and, become a funny car guy. Like, that's kind of the path I wanted to take after working on a funny car. Like, before that, I didn't really have an appreciation for these things. Like, was always a dragster kid, junior dragster, super comp, wanted to drive a Top Fuel car. And then after working on it with Nicky and Tommy D, and even Ace was over there for a little bit with us, like, you get an appreciation for funny cars, and now I love them. I think, like I said, they're the baddest cars out here.
They are. You need to try a Fuel Altered once.
I don't know about that, man. Like, I've just seen you covered in oil, and getting called oiled in. Like, you got to have tear-offs like the dirt guys. So I would try it, though.
Yeah, you would. You'd be good in it. Speaking of Nicky and Tommy D and all those guys, if you had to pick and you had a designated driver to pick from between Tommy D and Nicky Bonafanti, who would be your first choice?
I don't know. I probably would have to go with Tommy D just because he has a little driving experience. Like, Nicky is a horrible driver. Like, cannot drive at all. So, like, he gets squirreled pretty easy, so I would have to go with Tommy D on that.
Plus, Nicky he's got that laugh, and that laugh is contagious. It gets everybody else laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, once he starts, that's what happened to me at the banquet. Like, during my speech, I just look over at him. He's got, like, these gangster glasses on. He's sitting there laughing. I just start laughing for no reason. So,
Buck.
He's definitely contagious, but love him to death, man. He lightens the mood wherever he is, and lucky to have him on our side.
Okay, let's switch it up a little bit. Countdown. It didn't really change much when I came up with this new countdown rule, other than it's a blue ribbon. You go to all the races, you're in. They get added on. There's no drama. If you were Glenn Cromwell, you woke up this morning, what are three things? First of all, a countdown. What is your ideal situation? We've all been in the bar having beers and talked about this is what they should have done. And we all got the Monday morning stuff, right? What is your perfect scenario? And I know we've all talked about you've got to have yours. What would be your ideal countdown to the championship scenario?
Man, I don't know what the ideal scenario would be. I think maybe have the thing start at Indy, because I feel like we kind of take away the importance of the Indy race. Like, that's our biggest race of the year, and then you go to Reading, which honestly, that's probably the most important race of the year now. It's the start of the countdown, but they also, I feel like, took away the drama of the countdown by allowing everybody to get in. But at the end of the day, I feel like you're going to have the same usual suspects battling for the championship at the end of the year. You just might have a guy that can sneak his way into the top 10 to get on stage at the end of the year. But I feel like it's going to be the same guys competing for the championship. But as far as changing things up, I mean, I don't know, maybe some kind of bonus system throughout the year for winning races or something like
NASCAR.
Correct. Like somehow, like, I don't know, like you need to be rewarded more for winning races, I think.
But look what they've done, everything to make it come down to Pomona. They've done everything. They took away your lead. They've done all this stuff. For me, and the first couple of years was the countdown. They actually eliminated like NASCAR does now.
I kind of like that. Maybe extend the countdown, I'm not sure, but have it break down like it did before. I think
drop some drivers.
Yes, therefore you don't have 13 guys are in the running when it comes here to Pomona. Like it's down to 4 or whatever. And there's more.
Maybe Vegas and Pomona, the 4 that make it, and the rest gone.
Yeah, and there's more drama. I feel like the media can get behind that more because they put so much importance on the NASCAR side. That last race, these are the 4 guys going for it. Basically, the rest of the field don't even matter. It's just 4 guys out there competing. I think that we could kind of follow that path. But yeah, I don't know what the ultimate solution is. But right now, I think that there definitely needs to be a change in what we have to add more drama to our sport.
Okay. I want to talk a little other racing. Your buddies with Larson and Rico. Have you talked about, I know he's vertically challenged. I don't know what, we wouldn't have to change a whole lot in the funny car. Have you talked about, I know he would love driving a funny car. Have you talked about putting him in a car?
It was probably 3 or 4 years ago at the Indy test. He came out and hung out with me and was watching. And they're like, hey, man, do you want to drive this dragster? And like, he just laughed it off. They're like, no, we're serious. Like, will you drive it? And then, you know, at the end of the day, he's like, those guys, they weren't messing around. I'm like, no, they want you to drive a car. So I think that he would do it. You know, I got to do a crossover deal with Christopher Bell. Like, he got to warm up the car, and we hit the throttle. And I got to drive his dirt midget. He's like, hey, man, you know that's not a fair trade-off that I warmed up your car and you get to drive my race car. So, like, there's a lot of guys, I think, that would get in there and hit the gas. And Tony Stewart, every time I see him, I saw him 2 months ago at the Indianapolis Colts game. He's like, you know, before I'm done driving, I want to go 300. I'm like, stop talking about it. Let's make it happen, man. So there's definitely guys, I think, that would cross over. And you and I, like, anytime you get the opportunity to drive one of their cars, you got to jump at those.
And that was cool watching the Indy track, man. You did pretty good. You and Dougie, it was really cool to watch Dougie with all his past. But I could tell, man, you had the jitters. And I was watching it live, and I'm like, oh, man, I feel like I'm right there with him.
Yeah, I was definitely nervous because you're driving a Keith Coons midget, one that Christopher Bell, one of the best dirt track drivers in the world, it's going to be competing in the very next night. You're like, do not tear this thing up. But yeah, once you get out there and get a few laps on your belt, like, you want to go faster and faster, just like anything else. But I love that stuff. I think, like you say it all the time, that it translates over to this, like, where you have better car control, I think. So I'm all for doing some dirt stuff. And you and I talked, you know, not long ago, like, let's get some guys together and try and race as much as we can this year outside of drag racing.
Okay, now I'm going to let you go here in a second. I'm trying to think of other good questions. Now I got over, I'm going a little blank, but so who and you know, we always give the stock answer, John Force is the guy to beat. Who do you get up and deep down inside, there's certain people that, man, I really want to beat them. For reasons, sometimes my emotions get a little hold of me, and there's things that may be said off the track or in the media, and I just can't wait to line up next to them, and I absolutely despise losing to them. And I won't show it sometimes down there, but I absolutely hate losing to them. If you want to name some names, it's okay, but who do you I don't want you to throw anybody on the bus, but who do you really get up for? Like, because you know they're going to be solid, or you emotionally want to whoop their ass?
There are definitely a couple guys that I want to pound every time I line up against them. I'm not going to mention who they are, but there's also guys, I wouldn't say I get up more for one guy than the next, but when you're racing Robert Height and Jimmy Prock, like, they are the team to beat out here, like, in my opinion. Like, he's the best driver out here, I feel. It's hard to rattling. He's always at the top reaction time. They're always at the top in qualifying, things like that. So they kind of set the standard on teams that you need to knock off. And then last year, Forrest kind of went back to his old ways of, you know, racing you guys 20 years ago, playing his tricks and all that, which I had never experienced. I'm like, kind of pissed me off. Like, I don't like this. So, like, I'm going to kind of play games back with him. Like, I guess that's what you gotta do in funny car racing. So I learned that kind of the hard way.
Dude, he made you look so bad that first. I felt for you because now listen. I raced Al Hoffman, Chuck Etchels, and Forrest when he did it all the time. So I was a newcomer, so I didn't mouth off. I was like hanging out with a mafia. Like I didn't want to make anybody mad, but those guys did it all the time, and I couldn't get up and mouth off about it because Al Hoffman would whoop my butt.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd already had 2 years under my belt, and like he goes in slow or last, whatever, that's fine. But then he pulled that trick, and I'm like, damn it! Like, I didn't want to admit that it worked, but it did.
It does throw you. I mean, there's something about it when you know somebody's going to do it, and they either flick it. Because look, we're all
so amped up. Like any sudden movement, like you're ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it is. And then like he knows what he's doing. He's cagey for 70 plus years old, and I fell into that trap. But I told myself like that will not ever happen again. Like you just put that in the memory bank and kind of use it to your advantage when you need to. But there's also guys that have driven kind of recent that aren't driving now that I would love for them to come back and strap in because they can do a lot of talking outside the car that I don't know, a lot of armchair quarterbacks, I would say.
Maybe behind a camera?
Possibly. Behind a microphone, maybe.
Yeah. All right, man. It's been fun. We're going to do this again maybe a couple months, but have a good season. I love racing you guys. I love hanging out with you guys. The fans, it's fun for them to want to know what's going on in your head, although I'm sure they don't want to know everything that's going on in our heads. But anyway.
If you want to know who my hero is out here, like John Forrest, that's everybody's here. Like this guy right here, he's a legend in the sport for sure.
That makes me sound old. All right, man. J.R. Todd.
One more thing. What role did he play in Bob Gilbertson's destruction of the rental?
Yeah, see, I was supposed to ask about the legendary story. Now, I got the phone call right away. I know you were there, but but the legendary story of the rental car at the Las Vegas track, Bob Gilbertson, Nicky Bonifani, Tommy D, the scooter under the rental car.
I was there for the whole thing, you know, like we had just got a new sponsor. I think it was Fram Auto Eye at the time. Like had all this new stuff, looked good, these badass pit bikes because Bob's son was in the motocross. So we got this deal on these pit bikes. Like could not wait to get to the races and ride these things. Like they're loud and obnoxious. Well, obviously it was too loud and too obnoxious for Tommy D or someone's like, you know what, I don't give a shit if you run that thing over. So Bob did, and next thing you know, it looks like Back to the Future, like going down the pit area right here. Like all the teams are out at night because they're done working. Like everybody's like jaws on the ground because there's flames. Like the car's gone and the pit area is still on fire. It looked like Back to the Future for sure. And then like out in the distance, like big old ball of flame. Like you can't make this stuff up. I wish I had an iPhone back then, which none of us did. But yeah, it would have been bad. But yeah, it was. I'm not making any of that up.